All right, should be kind of a longer presentation today, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get started. First, just some housekeeping. If you have any questions, the question bar is at the bottom or top of your screen. Just go ahead and put them in there. We can't unmute you, but we'll be happy to answer your questions at the end, or even if if we're able to type away while we're presenting, we may do that as well. But if we don't get to any, we'll just get to them all at the end. There will be NAPCEP credits for this presentation, so if you need NAPCEP credits, just email me at training@simplifypower.com, and I'll show that email again at the end. So today we're going to do an overview of SimpliPhi 101, and we have a co-host here. Really lucky to have Renvu on board today.
Yeah, hey everyone, my name's Chris. I'm a sales engineer here at Renvu.
And my name's Daniel. I'm also a sales engineer here at Renvu, and we're excited to be here with SimpliPhi.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. My name's Matt. I'm the trainer here at SimpliPhi, and I'm going to go ahead and just get started since we've got kind of a longer day today. Let's see. Awesome. So to start out with an overview of our company, our history, and a timeline of our growth. We were actually founded in 2010 as OES Energy. We were founded as, looking for an alternative solution to unsafe and toxic lithium chemistries that were on the market, especially as it comes to filmmaking. Our roots were really in the mobile industry, as our batteries were originally used in mobile power packs for filmmakers. In 2011 and 2012, we began introducing our products into the military and Department of Defense. So this was a really big stride for lithium batteries because the military had actually said that they did not want lithium batteries used in their projects because of the safety and fire concerns. We actually proved them that our batteries were safe enough to meet the needs of their project, and went undergone a bunch of rigorous testing, of course, that they do at a couple of their bases. We also expanded into residential and emergency response, really replacing these problematic lithium and lead acid batteries, and kind of overcoming the limitations of the lead acid batteries, as well as easing the safety concerns of lithium batteries as well. In 2013 and 14, we expanded our product line, really focusing on the consumer and the installer. As you see in the middle of the screen, that is kind of a plug and play on wheels solution that we used to offer. We still have something similar, but again, really just customer centric and installer centric solutions that met a lot of different needs in the market. In 2015 and 16, we've relaunched as SimpliPhi Power, and still to this day, we are ramping up manufacturing and increasing our product lines in our Ventura County facility. So we're actually manufacturing all of our batteries and products in California. So as I mentioned, we were founded to solve a problem within the industry that was unsafe lithium chemistries and toxic lithium chemistries. Now there's a new problem in the industry, which is escalating energy costs and failing infrastructure, really just leading to the limited access to safe, reliable, affordable, and sustainable power. So in the US here, we've definitely been seeing increasing energy costs over the last 10 years, as well as power outages that we really have no control over. And our infrastructure just wasn't quite designed for distributed assets. In response to that, over 150 cities in the US and 7 utilities have created clean energy goals to meet net zero carbon, but they don't really have a clear plan to meet them. So we are hoping we can provide a solution that is really distributed assets, bringing the power and control of your power back to the customer. A lot of people don't even realize that, when you shut your power off when the utility shuts off your power, if you've got a solar system, it's not going to stay running unless you have batteries. And of course, our solutions are versatile. They can be used in a variety of applications, such as peak shaving to, cut down on these charges that increase as you pull more power at any moment. So you can shave off the top of your demand with batteries. Time of use rates, I've been seeing these basically just get worse and worse and spread farther and farther, being charged different amount of money for using electricity at a time where there's a higher general demand on the grid. So this is something where you can save money with energy storage by buying power when it's cheapest and using it whenever you want. Awesome. So now let's get into the more technical stuff, battery chemistry overview. Let's start by comparing some different lithium battery chemistries. Lithium iron phosphate is really the only chemistry that has no danger of thermal runaway or fire propagation, no toxic elements, and it's even landfill safe. But of course, we don't want to see them go into a landfill. We'd love to see them recycled, but if that's what needs to happen, at least it can. There's no abusive mining practices involved in our supply chain, mainly due to the lack of cobalt. And there's no ventilation, cooling equipment, or safety monitoring equipment required for our batteries. This is all thanks to the safety of the lithium iron phosphate chemistry, and it's also able to withstand higher temperature environments. So the lack of these three, ventilation, cooling equipment, and safety monitoring equipment, this is not only going to reduce the cost of the solution, but it's going to eliminate points of failure that could end up in your batteries failing. So that's important. So as I mentioned, we chose lithium iron phosphate, but what about our form factor? So when we look at the different form factors here on the right, a pouch cell is often used in laptops, things like that, and tablets, and it's great, but it is kind of prone to swelling and shrinking a bit as well, and it's more prone to puncture as well. Prismatic cells are great, but they're a bit bulkier, whereas cylindrical cells, we found they have built-in short circuit protection. They have the longest lifespan and really just the best performance all around. So that's what we have chosen as the building block for our battery. Awesome. So some advantages of our batteries and some key features. First, our warranty. We have a 10-year unlimited cycle warranty, so it does not depend on your depth of discharge. Now, you are going to see the longest lifespan if you choose 80% depth of discharge, but in some cases, if you're not cycling the batteries every day, you may end up wanting to choose 100% depth of discharge to size your system. So we'll talk a bit more about that in the future, but a quick note is that 48 volts is 0% state of charge for a 48 volt battery, at least our 48 volt battery. And at the end of the 10-year warranty, you're still gonna have 80% of the initial capacity remaining guaranteed. So that's going to leave you with a ton of bonus cycles as well, even after that 10 years. Another key feature and advantage of our batteries is the wide operating temperature range. They can be discharged and stored all the way down to -4 degrees and all the way up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, operating temperature is just storage or discharging. You do not want to charge in that temperature window. There's a slightly tighter temperature window for charging lithium iron phosphate batteries. This is between 32 on the low side, which is freezing, and 120 Fahrenheit on the high side. The integrated BMS and breaker is another advantage of our batteries. The BMS is going to handle cell balancing, overcurrent protection, short circuit protection, and charge and discharge protection. Now, I do want to point out we did a very detailed training on what type of BMS is in our different products and how they work and what level of protection they provide. Now, in our standard PHI battery, the BMS is a great line of defense, but it's not the only line of defense. You still need to program, the external equipment correctly and design the equipment correctly as well, or design the system correctly. But I really love this 80 amp breaker here, just for making things easier to install, especially when you're, in a small space and you don't want to risk short circuiting the battery during the install as you're tightening down those terminals. Another key feature of our batteries is the C rate. So this is the measure of the rate at which the battery can be discharged relative to its maximum capacity. So a lot of lead acid batteries, for example, are rated at C/20, where you're discharging the battery very slowly over the course of 20 hours. Our batteries are actually rated at C/2. So that's how we rate the capacity of the batteries, by discharging in just 2 hours. So this is also the maximum continuous charge and discharge rate of our battery. So you can discharge or charge the battery comfortably in 2 hours. And this is going to hold true for any size bank. So if you have one battery, one 3.8 kilowatt battery, and you're discharging at 1900 watts, add another battery and you can double that and discharge at 3800 watts. And our batteries are scalable and expandable. This is really important to me because you can really build any size system using our 80-pound battery as a building block. Actually, it's 78 and change. So what you can do is, instead of having a ton of guys haul a big old battery down the stairs, or renting a pallet jack or forklift or crane, you can just walk a bunch of batteries in and out of the site yourself. You really only need one person to install 5 batteries, which I think is a huge advantage, and it can scale infinitely. So you can really parallel as many of these as you care to. It's a simple parallel wiring configuration. It's all 48 volts or 24 volts. There's no communication lines to run for our standard PHI batteries. And we'll talk a little bit more about our AmpliPHI batteries later, which do have communication. Both energy availability and power availability will scale up as you add batteries. Now, as far as expandability, you can add to the battery bank size after you've already installed it initially. This is something I don't really see a lot within the industry. So if you initially need your customer to get started with just a few batteries, but down the line he's going to need more, you can increase to that bank size over time. Another key feature is that our batteries are self-contained and stable. So they don't vent or release any gases, and they don't need any maintenance like watering or specific gravity checks. So they also have a low self-discharge rate of 1% per month or less. So this is really going to help you in a backup power scenario. You don't have to just keep the battery floated all the time. You can leave it for a few months and come back and know that it's still full. Sweet. So we got through a bunch of the technical stuff. Now let's kind of talk about our product line. I want to give you guys an overview of what we offer. Our standard PHI battery is 3.8 kilowatt hour, standard simple parallel connection. And we're going to talk in details about wiring methods and installation for large systems and small systems the same a little bit later on. This was designed as a drop-in lead acid replacement. Now it's being used for all kinds of projects. It's very versatile. Again, it's got the integrated BMS, and on top you see this circuit breaker. Our 12-volt battery, this is also available in 24 volts. It is 1.4 kilowatt hours and comes with a bare wire connector or Anderson power pole connector. So this is going to be great for a mobile solution. Likely for a, a camper van or RV, you just need a couple of these. And just like our PHI battery, this is compatible with a huge variety of standard charge controllers and inverters. Whatever equipment you currently have on your system, there's a really good chance that it's compatible as long as it can meet the charging set points and low battery cutout. We are good with any equipment. So the Express unit, this is one of my favorite products that we offer because it's so customer friendly. There's zero installation required. It comes pre-wired and you just plug it into the wall to charge it essentially. You can wire it into a panel or plug in solar on the DC quick connect if you want, but you don't have to. You always have the option of just plugging it into the wall. And then right here on the right, you see those outlets. You can plug your loads directly into there. So I think this is great for people who maybe have an apartment in the city and then a cabin out in the middle of nowhere. You can bring it to anywhere really. Our AccESS unit, this is becoming more and more popular because it streamlines the installation a bit. It is pre-wired internally. The inverter and/or charge controllers are installed in the unit already. And all you have to do is pop the batteries in there and put the bus bars on them. So it also comes with these terminal blocks, which make the installation a lot neater and faster. We're going to talk a bit more about our AccESS units later, so I'm just going to brush over this for now. But again, these are outdoor rated and we offer a few different versions of AC, DC coupled. It's going to work for new or existing PV. And like all our products, there's no maintenance. We've got high voltage solutions for commercial and industrial applications. So this is going to be great for microgrids, or if you need three-phase power. The BMS here is a bit different. And like I said, check out our recent BMS training on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, kind of explain what BMS is good for what project. And this actually was recently updated. We can now go up to just over 1100 volts DC nominal. So as you see these stacks here, as you add stacks, it just adds energy and power to the system. And there is communications, it's communications ready. So if you need communications, this can work for you as well. And this is more of a build to order solution. So if this is something that you need, just contact us and we'll work with you to figure out exactly what you need. Awesome. Our newest battery, the AmpliPHI battery, really excited about this one because of the advanced communications. It's the same size as our 3.8 kilowatt hour battery. It's offered in 48 volts, which is 51.2 nominal. It's UL 1973 certified. So, excuse me. So regardless of your AHJ's restrictions or codes, it's very likely going to work for your project. It's got a slightly increased max discharge, 100 amps for 10 minutes, and it's got a 100 amp breaker on top. So it's got closed loop communications with the inverter, and no external cards are required for this. So what does that mean? That means that the battery itself is going to report a high level of accuracy reading for state of charge, voltage, and charge and discharge at any instant, as well as historic data. So this is the battery to inverter cable. You're going to plug one cable between here and the inverter. And then these ports are going from the previous battery and off to the next. You are limited to 40 battery modules. So if this is a giant system or you might need 50, 60, 70, 80 batteries, you're going to want to look towards our standard PHI products. And right now it's communicating only with the Sol-Ark inverters. So we are working to expand that list to get it communicating with more and more inverters. Another key feature of this battery specifically is that it allows for flexible sizing, excuse me, because of the communications with the inverter. So what this battery does is it tells the SolArk how much power it can provide and how much power it can accept. And the SolArk will moderate the power for the battery. This allows you to, if your customer wants to, put just one battery on a SolArk inverter as long as it's an AmpliPHI battery. That way you can start your project with a smaller upfront cost and then add to it as the customer's able. Let's also talk about levelized cost of energy storage. This is really the true cost of energy storage. You want to look beyond the upfront cost and consider the cost per kilowatt hour. The cost per kilowatt hour of our batteries can be calculated with this calculator. And I'm going to try to jump through it right now. It might give me some trouble, but I'm going to give you guys a tour of this calculator because I think it's a great tool for installers to compare costs of different batteries as well as display that cost to the homeowner. So apologies if this is a little glitchy. It's always hard when I'm sharing my screen, but it's working really well today. So this is just a recent quote I saw online. You'll have to get your exact pricing from Renvu. Pick 80% depth of discharge because that's going to give you the most energy output through the battery throughout its lifetime. It's the right word there is the most throughput. If you use 80% depth of discharge, and it comes out to about 9 cents per kilowatt hour. And then once you're finished with that, you can compare to the lead acid battery that you're replacing, or you can compare that cost to a different lithium battery that you're considering as well. Sweet. Oh man, lost my place. All right. So battery sizing, let's now size your battery system. For a backup system, this is where you may want to even use 90 or 100% depth of discharge to size the system. So really sizing to use the full 3.8 kilowatt hours just to back up some loads. And then if you wanted to add autonomy later on, you could always increase the size of the system from there. But for off-grid homes that are going to be, cycled daily, that is where you really want to use 80% depth of discharge to size your system, as that's going to give you the best cost per kilowatt hour and the longest lifespan of your battery. This slide, I want to take a moment to just slow down here. This is so important. This is really the only place we see issues for the most part is when systems are missized. You got to make sure to follow our C/2 rule. Remember, the max charge and discharge of each battery is 1900 watts, 1.9 kilowatts per 3.8 kilowatt hour battery. So what that means is if you have an 8,000 watt inverter, you need 16 kilowatt hours of battery storage to prevent damage from overcharging and over discharging the batteries. So the battery should be sized to twice the inverter's output capability at a minimum or more. In residential systems, you really don't see the need for C/2. So you're likely going to have more like 5 times the inverter's output rating, or maybe 3 or 4. These are some tools that we've developed to help you installers and homeowners alike understand our batteries and size the systems. So this top one, I think, is a great calculator for homeowners to understand what size battery bank they need to meet their loads. It only really considers loads. The middle calculator considers loads as well as the system design as a whole, while the bottom calculator is really geared toward replacing lead acid battery banks. You can input a lot of info about your current bank and it will size a new system for you appropriately. So I think these are awesome sales tools as well if you're trying to help a customer see why one solution is better than the other. Awesome. So this is where I wanted to spend some time today talking about installation methods. Firstly, before installing, make sure you check out our product documentation tab. This is going to be under the support tab. It's where you're going to find all of our manuals, spec sheets, integration guides that give you not only the advantages and limitations of our batteries, but the settings with other components. So if you're installing a Victron inverter, you can find the absorbed voltage for the Victron inverter in the integration guide. Also, we've got installation manuals in general that will help you install our products. It's under that same tab. So just to go over some basics as far as mounting, really there's very few requirements here. You just want to not mount the batteries on top of each other. So don't rest one battery resting on top of the other. We don't want a ton of weight resting on those terminals. Additionally, don't mount them upside down. Other than that, you're good to go. You can use our wall brackets or our boss cabinets, or you can just set them right on the floor. You can even make your own cabinets. I've seen some really beautiful custom cabinetry from a few of our installers recently. And yeah, we're really flexible here. So let's go ahead and talk about wiring. When you're using a standard lead acid bank, you're probably jumping from positive to positive to positive to positive to that bus bar. With our batteries, it's a little different because that would throw them slightly out of balance. What you're going to want to do is wire all of the positive terminals directly to a common bus point. Same with all the negative terminals using the same size, same length cable. If this is a big install and this proves a little bit difficult, there are other options, which I'm going to talk about right now. So you can, of course, use a battery combiner as your combining point instead of a bus bar. I mean, really, there's just bus bars inside, but I like this combiner because it's able to be used outdoors, and these are 1,000 amp rated bus bars from Midnight Solar. You can even custom design your own combiner box or power panel if you want. Most inverters and charge controller brands, they sell their own power panel, so you can always buy it from them. And there's still more wiring solutions, so just hang in here with me while I get to those. The Boss cabinets are another great one. They come with sizing either for 6 batteries or 12 batteries, and in both of those options there are these terminal blocks inside that serve as your bus bars for the system. Additionally, you can order bus bars and cabling. Our 3 battery bus bar kit makes this really quick and easy and neat as well. And this cabinet's outdoor rated, as I mentioned, it's NEMA 3R. And again, this is just a great time to mention, like I said, the weight of the 3.8 is less than 80 pounds. So that really allows one person to complete an install like this that generally would otherwise need to be carried in by a crane or a forklift or something along those lines. So here's an option that I love for installing big systems, for doing the wiring clean and easy. You can use these big fat bus bars. This is a system in an airport hangar in Hawaii where they used 10 battery bus bars. I believe they manufactured them on their own. That is something you can do. But If you've never done that before, I would really recommend you contact Storm Power Components because they make some excellent custom bus bars for any project, and they've definitely worked with our batteries before. One thing you want to keep in mind when sizing a bus bar is the current rating. So I'm going to basically leave it up to your authority having jurisdiction to determine the current rating needed for the bus bar. Some of them go off of the 80 amp breaker on the battery. So that's the safest way to do it, is just to add 80 amps per battery. But if you're unsure and you maybe think that's a bit too large, the continuous output rating of the battery is 37.5 amps DC each. This is for the 48 volt option. So, you know, I'll let you hash that out with your authority having jurisdiction there, whether you want to size to 37.5 amps or 80 amps for the bus bar. Sorry, 37.5 or 80 amps per battery. So if you had a 3 battery bus bar, that would need to be rated to, let's just say 240 amps just to be on the safe side. Awesome. So now that we've got the wiring methods down, I want to give some examples of full systems with a list of components. These are the newest N-phase inverters. So let's just say you had an AC coupled, or sorry, just a regular grid tied solar system going into your sub panel here in the middle. And you've got your grid connection over here on the right. Now, if you want to just drop in a Schneider XW Pro 6848 as well as the mini PDP, the mini PDP can serve as the combiner for 2 boss cabinets, for example. There's actually 3 battery landings here, so you could even do 3 boss cabinets if you wanted here. I just had trouble fitting them on the picture. This is a great drop-in, easy solution to retrofit grid-tied solar system into an AC coupled system. And you can really add inverters here or battery cabinets without much change to the system design at all. So this is really scalable. You could size up, and there's already over 90 kilowatt hours of storage on this system. And again, this is going to prevent your solar from not producing when the grid goes down. So in this case scenario, the Schneider inverter would use frequency shifting to keep those inverters producing and keep your power on in a power outage. For a DC coupled system example, I really like the SolArk inverter right now just because of its ability to partner with the Tigo so easily. So that the SolArk inverter has a 12 volt power supply. If the inverter shuts off, it also shuts off the Tigos by shutting off this transmitter, which sends a signal to the Tigos to shut down each PV module. So that makes rapid shutdown just a bit easier. And again, this is easily scalable. In this photo, I used a midnight combiner box to combine the battery banks. So you could, again, add more battery cabinets if you wanted to. And here I just have the sub panel here and the grid connection here in case you weren't sure. Oh, and these are the Tigo, I believe this is the TS4-F. You may even be able to use the TS4-O. It depends on your needs for your system. One more installation tip is to use a proper torque wrench and calibrate it before each job. We've seen a couple people snap terminals off over the years because they had not calibrated their torque wrench in a while and they had over-torqued the terminal. Again, this doesn't happen often, but it's just a really annoying thing to have to deal with for a brand new battery that no longer has a terminal and you can't finish installation. So make sure to not over-torque the terminals. It's 160 inch-pounds is the rating. For settings, again, these settings are all going to be under that support tab for any device, inverter, charge controller, etc. One thing I'll point out though is for any AC power source, you're going to want to use two-stage charging, just bulk and absorbing at about 56 volts for 6 minutes. It may vary slightly for different pieces of equipment, but generally that's our recommendation, 56 volts for 6 minutes. Versus for a DC source, you're going to want to use three-stage charging. So that would be bulk, absorb, and float. You can float at 54 if you have maybe DC coupled solar coming in. The minimum low battery cutout is 48 volts. Really, we recommend usually going a bit higher to around 50.2 volts to keep you from discharging below 80% depth of discharge. And of course, you can always use the cell feature on the inverter to sell excess solar. We usually recommend 52.8 volts for a cell voltage. So a quick overview of our access units. They are pre-wired internally. As I mentioned, they come in a crated delivery with the batteries delivered separately. So you would need to install the batteries in the cabinet. However, the inverters and charge controllers and the communication devices are already installed. This is an example of our Schneider access unit. So it's going to have the 6848, and if you order it, the charge controller. So it comes standard AC coupled with just the inverter, and it has the DC coupled option to add the charge controller. Again, this is a NEMA 3R enclosure, so it's ready to sit outside, and it does have some monitoring. So it's got the Schneider ComBox included. This allows for real-time and historic monitoring, which is really nice for troubleshooting, especially if you're an installer and you have a customer who watches their system just a little too closely. You know what I'm talking about. You're going to want to be able to monitor the system without leaving your house, so you don't have to run to the house every 15 minutes when they are concerned. Plus, this gives you access to change the settings, and you can give your end user access just to view the settings. So the SolArk AccESS 12 kW inverter, MPPT, two MPPTs actually built into the inverter. It's available with AC coupled or DC coupled as it comes. And this is great because it has self-consumption and TOU settings. It's got the SolArk inverter is really making strides on rapid shutdown. They're keeping up with the progressing codes and standards. So I really like the SolArk inverter for that reason. They've developed kind of a one-button rapid shutdown that would disconnect the inverter, batteries, and solar array all from the system at once. And this also has similar monitoring to the Schneider. You'll need to get the wireless router, or you can order it with the cabinet. It's got real-time monitoring, historic monitoring as well, and again, the installer versus end user, so that you can change the settings as an installer and have your homeowner have full, visibility into those settings and the performance of the system without being able to mess them up. It's kind of just a nice layout of DC coupled versus AC coupled systems. Again, our access units are able to do either. And I want to also touch on our installer qualification program. So we're trying to get some more installers on board. We've got a lot already, but if you're a distributor or an installer already installing our batteries, it takes 2 minutes to apply today, and it's going to give you free basically promotion and visibility to people looking for an installer of our products. So this is at the moment the main advantage of joining the IQ program, I would say, is the where to buy map. So this is going to feature your tag here as an installer so that people in your area can zoom in and find that you're installing batteries and we have already kind of vetted you as a trusted installer. Additionally, you're going to get the option to be featured in our marketing, like our newsletter or our social media. And it's super simple. It takes about 2 minutes to apply. You can do so here. And if you're already installing our batteries, it's a no-brainer. It's free exposure, so just apply. Now, to kind of wrap things up, I want to just summarize what we're doing here at SimpliPhi Power. Again, our mission is to provide affordable and sustainable energy access to people, communities everywhere by accelerating the energy transition, reimagining the power grid, building a more resilient energy future, and delivering an excellent value for our batteries. So really a focus here is to empower people with distributed assets that are safe, non-toxic, and renewable. And again, this is something that we've proven we've done for about 10 years, and we're going to continue innovating in this space. So without further ado, I just want to pass this off to Renvu, who's going to finish this out and talk about some exciting new developments on their end. Give me just a moment here to pass over the controls to Chris.
Right. Thanks, Matt. Hello, everyone. If you didn't make it into the introduction, my name's Chris, and then we also have Danny here from Renvu, and we're both sales engineers here. All right. Let's see if I can take control.
Perfect.
Okay. Show that I have control.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So Renvu, let's go back one. All right. Renvu was founded in 2012. We're based in Mountain View, California, so South Bay, just close to San Francisco. We have fulfillment centers in 3 states. That'll be California, Texas, and New Jersey. And our whole sales team is, all of our sales engineers have an engineering background. So we're able to go in depth on projects with our customers, whether it be smaller residential up to larger commercial projects. Aside from just selling the product, we can definitely help you out with any technical expertise and being a really supportive resource for installation and commissioning, and even post-commissioning. Right.
I think you just need to click. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Is it on the next slide? It's not seeing it on my computer. Let's see. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so these are the different services that we provide, starting off with the Megawatt Club. So this is a great service for $950. You essentially get free shipping on all equipment for a full year, as well as other perks like special pricing on many different products. And we're always kind of changing the products that we're offering special pricing in. So that'll range from panels to racking to balance of system, batteries, monitoring. So all of these products we're constantly offering special pricing for our Megawatt Club members. We offer preliminary design and analysis reports. So especially for those residential customers who are just kind of looking into solar and don't have a good idea of what'll come about of having solar or the costs associated with it. It's a great resource to have, and something that we offer. So if you want to not only get the cost estimates, but you can also get a 3D rendering of what it might look like on your house. And then professional engineering services. So we also provide permitting for customers who are buying systems with us, or a majority of their system with us. And that's for all 50 states, any jurisdiction. We offer that, as well as structural engineering stamps and electrical engineering stamps. And then we also have a solar kit guide and battery upgrade guide. So it's essentially like a system wizard where the customer can go in without not really knowing much about solar. No sales engineers involved. You can go in, plug in some preferences that you might have for your system, like the roof type, the type of racking you want, or the type of panels and the aesthetic, as well as the power output. These are all things that you can essentially create on your own in the Solar Kit guide, and in the battery upgrade guide. It can do off-grid, grid-tied, and grid-tied applications, and it's been a huge hit with our installers, as after they kind of get an idea of what they want for their customer base, they're, instead of contacting a sales engineer all the time, they're just going through the Solar Kit guide and generating their own system then and there.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name's Daniel. I am also a sales engineer here at Renvu. Do you want to go back one slide, Chris?
Oh, sorry.
No worries. And I'm going to talk to you guys about BLIKIR a little bit, which is a new carport company that we carry here at Renvu. BLIKIR currently is offering a 2-car carport. There's also a single car carport design as well. And the thing that's really exciting about these is it's a unique solution to residential carports with a simple, sturdy design that's really easy to install. That's the main takeaway here, is that these carports can be installed by 2 people in a relatively short period of time. The 2-car carport can support 24 60-cell modules or 18 72-cell modules. Both of the configurations do utilize Iron Ridge XR100 rails. So that's not going to change whether you have 60 cells or 72 cells. So it comes as one package, which is pretty nice. In between your panels, we do have a T-gasket to create a waterproofed carport as well. BLIKIR did design the carport to be very easy to install, and it really only requires a pure depth of 2 feet. And that can withstand a 30-pound per square foot snow load and a 120-mile-an-hour wind load, which is pretty good for a 2-foot pure depth, especially, you know, something of that depth, you can dig that with your hand, which is, you know, something that a lot of people have issues with. The carport does stand 9 feet tall. It does have a 5-degree tilt and a peer-to-peer length of 18 feet. Now, the carport is perfectly square in frame, so you can actually orient that carport whichever way you want and enter in from, say, you know, the left side or the right side, or whichever side you want to call the front. That way you can face your panels to your largest solar resource, regardless of the orientation of your driveway. So that's a pretty nice bonus as well. There is a decorative mesh that does go underneath the modules to hide your microinverters or your wiring, depending on how the system is configured. And the best part with this is everything comes as a full kit. So everything does fit within a 11-foot pallet for the carport, and then we do offer a few purchasing options that include solar panels as well. If you want to go to the next slide, Chris.
All right.
And here are 3 of those options. The first one on the far left is going to be just a standalone carport. That's without panels, but it does include racking and mounting hardware as well. As we move over to the right, we do have a package which includes 24 310-watt phono-solar modules and Enphase IQ7s, as well as the carport itself. And that's a pretty good price for a carport, especially in locations where you can't really roof mount your solar panels. Then moving on to the system with storage included, 2 products that were talked about today already: the SolArk 12K hybrid inverter paired with the SimpliPhi 3.8 kWh 48-volt battery. This system is for someone who wants to dive down a little bit deeper into the storage side of their solar system and possibly look at adding on car charging capabilities as well. If you go to the next slide, please, Chris. BLIKIR does have an authorized installer program. There are a few steps that you have to take to get there. The first thing would be to submit an application form through Renvu, install 3 carports, and then from there, we would give you better pricings. Better pricing deals going forward if you install 5 carports per month. Now that's tabulated quarterly. So say you sell or you install 5 carports one month, 0 the next month, then 10 that third month, that would still count towards this special price agreement where you can receive $1,000 per carport installed, as well as customer leads from Renvu as a form of partner benefits with Renvu. If you could go to the next slide, Chris. As Chris mentioned, we do have the SKG, the Solar Kit Guide on Renvu.com. The BLIKIR carport is now live on the Solar Kit Guide. So if you want to design a system and see how the carport fits in to your design, if you want to compare it to a different type of design, you're more than welcome to do that. And if you would like any other information regarding BLIKIR and the carports, you can feel free to ask during the Q&A, or you can email us at info@renvu.com.
Awesome. I love how easy it is to navigate your guys' website, and that carport looks really great. I just think it's such a clear answer as to, if you want shade provided to your cars and cover, you might as well put some solar on there. So that's awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So
Yeah.
in case you cannot see at the bottom of the screen, I have info@renvu.com. That is Renvu's email. If you want to get any more info on any of the products, feel free to contact them, as well as us, training at SimpliPhiPower.com. And I really appreciate you guys hopping on, Dan and Chris, and also appreciate all you attendees hopping on. If you need NABCEP CEUs, just feel free to email me. So now we're just going to go through the questions for the next 15 minutes or so.
Sure. Yeah, I can read them off to you if that works for you, Matt.
Sorry, I can see them here.
Oh, okay, you got them. Great.
Yeah, so can we explain the recyclability issues and also where the technology now stands? Sure, yeah, we've done a couple other presentations that dive a little deeper into this. I'll just do a quick overview, is that basically, due to the lack of cobalt, there's not a ton of value in recycling lithium iron phosphate batteries. However, the recyclability is there. It's definitely reclaimable. And as time goes on, this is really only getting better and better. So yeah, I'd say if you have specific questions, feel free to shoot us an email. If you guys have any comments on any of these, just cut me off and jump in. If the batteries are placed in an insulated container with the inverters, will the inverters heat the space enough to not require an additional heating element in, say, New York State? So that's really situational. It depends on how thick your insulation is and how cold it gets in the area the batteries are in. So we're happy to give you our best opinion on it, but I'd say probably to just go ahead and do it and then stick a thermocouple in there, measure the temperature overnight, take that data, check it out, and see if it got too cold. Make sure to cut off charging before you do that to make sure that the batteries don't charge when it's too cold. And then if it did get too cold, you can always add a heater.
Quick question, Matt. Do you recall what the optimal operating temperature is for for your guys' standard 3.8 kilowatt hour battery?
Yeah, so you don't want to charge them below freezing. So the freezing is the cutoff temp for charging, but for discharging and storing the batteries, they can go all the way down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Did I miss you saying why you can parallel so many batteries? Traditional design says not a good idea to parallel more than 2 to 3. So with our batteries, we wire them to a common bus point or with a big old bus bar. So that's why the batteries can stay balanced in such a large system, all parallel wired. Will you be covering any commercial size examples? Hopefully we got to that. If we didn't answer your question about commercial solutions, feel free to reach out to myself or Chris or Daniel at Renvu. Can I put it on my apartment deck, used for domestic use? Can I send energy back to the grid? Can I control the number of batteries? I'm not totally sure which you're referring to. Maybe they're asking about the carport here. I don't know if you could put it on your apartment deck. It depends how big your deck is. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely send energy back to the grid with any of the solutions mentioned. So let us know if you want some more info. Can you get the high voltage solution in a single phase configuration? That's a great question. I'm not entirely sure actually, but I don't see why you would want to do that. If you need single phase, you can always get parallel as many 3.8 kilowatt batteries as you need. Excuse me, 3.8 kilowatt hour batteries. Schneider only does customer service via email. If there's a problem with the system with Schneider, would we be able to use your customer service to troubleshoot and fix systems? Yeah, absolutely. If you buy an access unit from us, we are here to help you. And I know Renvu has customer service as well. That is excellent. So we're both here to support you.
Yeah, just kind of want to bounce off of that. So as you may already know, Renvu is selling essentially all the products that SimpliPhi is listed here. And like I said earlier, we're all well-versed in energy storage design. So for any of the access units, if you need help with design, installation, troubleshooting, we're definitely here as a resource for you as well.
Yeah, this is why I really love partnering with Renvu, is because it brings another player to the table as far as helping you get the fastest and best service, and all their engineering services as well are going to really prevent your issues in the first place. Do you see more requests for AC or DC coupled systems? What's the driver for that decision? Well, AC coupled systems we see, at least on our end, we see a lot when people already have grid tied solar and they're retrofitting to add batteries. DC coupled we see nowadays on almost every new installation. Sometimes grid tied for specific reasons, but I'd say mostly DC coupled for new systems nowadays. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the same thing. Mostly DC coupled for new systems. It's going to be less equipment, typically higher efficiency. I think Daniel could probably say similarly. But for commercial, like larger commercial, like with those high voltage battery banks, usually you're going to see those being AC coupled, as most of the DC coupled, there are not many DC coupled inverters available at the very large hundreds of kilowatt size.
Yeah, great point. What about the Big Jenny? When is that available? Yeah, we do still have the Big Jenny. I didn't really think it was super applicable to this presentation, so I didn't bring it up. But if that's what you need, go ahead and email one of us, and we will get you hooked up. If you develop new batteries, will you strive to make them backward compatible? So what you're asking is, if you basically, let me just answer the question by saying, if you have a 3.4 or 3.5 kilowatt hour battery, the 3.8 kilowatt hour battery is backward compatible. So you can put that on an existing system. And you can retrofit later. So if those are 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years old, you can still add batteries to that system. I've got a question here for you guys. Are those carports available in custom sizing?
Yeah, so right now they're offered in a 2-car and a single car size. This is something that BLIKIR is looking into. They are looking into the scalability of it and opening up that sizing. But for right now, that is a single car and a double car carport. The 18-foot on center peer-to-peer spacing is the double car carport.
Sweet. Sorry, I'm just reading this next question. It's a bit of a long one. Are SimpliPhi or Renvu publicly traded companies? I don't know about you guys. Unfortunately, we're not.
Yeah, Renvu is not publicly traded.
You guys are not publicly traded
Nope.
either?
Yeah. Not yet. No, just kidding.
All right. Are we sending this PowerPoint out to viewers? Yes, we are. You're gonna, if you're registered as an attendee, which you all are, you're gonna automatically get a link to the YouTube video recording of this in just a few days. I want a quote on a 700 kW system. I'll let you guys snap that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for a quote for any size system, feel free to reach out to that email listed on that PowerPoint slide right there, info@renvu.com. That's where we essentially receive all our project inquiries. So best way to move forward typically is go ahead and send an email there, introduce yourself, and list out whatever preferences you need, and we can get the ball rolling on design and let you know what the pipeline looks like in terms of finishing the project for you.
Sweet. All right. What is the shipping lead times? So I guess it depends on what you need, of course. Do you guys happen to know, let's just say your lead time for a 3.8 kilowatt hour battery?
Yeah, typically for 3.8 kilowatt hour battery, we can fulfill within 2 days of purchasing. Sometimes shorter than that. If you guys need it expedited, that's sometimes that is an option as well. So feel free to reach out to us and let us know what your timeline looks for like for your project, and we'll try our best to meet it.
Awesome, that's great. Are your batteries on the SMA approved battery? Excuse me. Are your batteries on the SMA approved battery list for use with Sunny Island inverters? I'm honestly not aware of that list. We have seen our batteries used with Sunny Island inverters in the past. I wouldn't say it's ideal, but it definitely does work. What I would say is if you're looking at a Sunny Island inverter on a project that is not super pressing, wait for our AmpliPHI battery to be able to pair with it with comms. That is definitely on the list. What email address do we go to for NABCEP credit? So that would be training@simplifypower.com. When can you likely add more inverter products integration with SimpliPhi batteries? I'm guessing you're talking about the AmpliPHI, because that's where we're waiting for, the communications testing to be finished. All I can say is that, our engineering team is working really hard on getting more batteries on that list. So I would stay tuned in the coming weeks to look for more info. But as far as the PHI batteries, they can really integrate with almost any inverter, any major inverter or charge controller on the market. As long as it can meet the charge set points that we recommend, then you're good to go. How well does your system work with solar edge inverters and power optimizers? So that wouldn't really be a function of the batteries, be more a function of the battery-based inverter. So it really depends which battery-based inverter you're looking at. Where does the lithium come from? Country of origin. Well, I did a presentation on this recently, not specifically talking about our lithium, but most of the lithium in general as well as iron and phosphate. So I would just go check out that presentation for a lot more details. Lithium often comes from Chile. Are the AmpliPHI batteries communications compatible with the SolArk 12K? Yes, of course. One thing to note is you should not parallel AmpliPHI batteries with different batteries of different brands. And yeah, but aside from that, it's great, approved for use with the 12K. Can we use your batteries for UPS, uninterrupted power source? Yes, of course. How does the total overall product work in Guam? It works as well in Guam as it'll work anywhere else in the world. Do you have a sizing tool for residential and commercial? Yes, we do. That was on our slides, and we'll email that out to you. But I know that Renvu does quite a bit of engineering services for you, so that might be something you want to look into as well. Question about the carport. I think, oh no, maybe not. Can your battery support 50 Hertz 220 VAC systems for overseas installations? Yeah, that really depends on the inverter, you know, how it draws and converts the power from the batteries. Of course, the batteries can do that. It's really up to you, you know, you to pick the right inverter for that project. The batteries will, you know, be able to work with that for sure. Man, these questions just keep coming in. Minimum temperature for charging 32 degrees Fahrenheit. This seems it could be problematic in unheated spaces, say a crawl space or outdoor shed. Yeah, definitely it could be problematic, which is why there are heating solutions out there. Like I personally love the 48 or the heating pads, the automatic heating pads that have a thermostat built in. I believe they're called hot start pads. Those are just one option, but really any way you want to keep the batteries warm works. A lot of people insulate a box as well. Who would I contact to discuss a 480 volt 3-phase application? I'd recommend you contact Renvu, but also you can contact us if you'd like. We're happy to help and we can all work together on it. Maybe just email both of those emails at the bottom. Someone asked a couple questions about BLIKIR there. Can you see those?
Yeah. How new to the market is BLIKIR? BLIKIR is a new product, and we're excited to see where that goes with Renvu. Basically, BLIKIR just kind of found a market where they didn't really see any good solutions that were able to combine simplicity with good structural sound carports, and that's where this product came from. But yes, it is brand new. It's a new product.
Yeah, I should also add that so shipping costs can vary based on where you are. But if you are curious, feel free to reach out to info@renvu.com and just list your zip code, and we can get a shipping estimate for you. And typically the lead times are 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks.
Sweet. And then,
sorry, one other thing with the shipping. With a Megawatt Club membership, it's free through Renvu for all your carports. So I mean, if you're ordering, 5-6 carports and you have a Megawatt Club membership, it's free shipping.
awesome. Is the temperature compensation handled by the BMS? No, you want to just disable temperature compensation. There is no need for temp comp. Or you can also just unplug the temperature sensor. That's one option. when you're talking about, I see a long question here about distributed generation management platforms. I would look into the Hyla solution potentially. We have some info about that on our website. But yeah, I think this is probably going to be a more in-depth question, so just email us and we can get you some more info. So someone mentioned that Sunny Islands may no longer be approved by PG&E to interconnect with the grid. So that's a good note. Thanks. I'll have to look into that. And then, do you offer help or support in recycling old batteries? Yeah, sure. We'll do what we can. Just email us and we'll do our best to find somebody near you who can help, maybe pick up those batteries from you and get them to a recycling center. And then I believe the rest of the questions are for you guys.
Yeah, we have are the carport solutions for bifacial panels, and yes, there are. The BLIKIR carport is compatible with bifacial modules, as long as the modules themselves are compatible with the Iron Ridge camo clamp that is utilized in all the clamps, all the clamping for the modules. So as long as that part's compatible, yeah, you can use bifacial modules and then take that mesh off underneath. And then let's see, it looks like what are the costs for Renvu's engineering services? Typically, Chris, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, so $250 for a structural engineering stamp or electrical engineering stamp, and the regular permitting documents can range anywhere from around $250 to around $500 or more, depending on the size of the system. But if you're a homeowner, it's going to be around $500, and for installers, it's going to be around $200. And then also Megawatt Club members will also get discounts on all of those as well. So if you're a Megawatt Club member and you're doing a lot of permitting, I would recommend going that route to get discounts on that. And then also the last question, does Renvu sell products in Puerto Rico? Yes, we sell both SimpliPhi products and BLIKIR products to Puerto Rico. We sell internationally, and we're currently the only distributor for BLIKIR at the moment, since it's such a new product. So essentially, BLIKIR would be going through us, the distributor, and then of course we'd be a distributor for SimpliPhi as well.
Oh, awesome. And did I hear earlier? I could have misheard you. Maybe I misspoke. Did you say something about a discount on engineering if they had purchased like a certain size system or something like that from you guys?
Exactly. So off the top of my head, I'm not sure exactly what the discount is, but for Megawatt Club members, they get discounting on permitting. So so essentially, if you're doing a lot of projects and you're spending a lot of money on permitting currently, Megawatt Club membership would be a great option for any installer, and especially if they're doing a lot of permitting to save money on that end.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for jumping in. Apologies if we didn't get to your question. We had a ton of questions, and thank you so much to Dan and Chris at Renvu for hopping on today.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys next time.
All right.